All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Y'all caught me in the middle of trying one of my new energy drinks. Today's a very serious topic. We're going to be talking about the housing crisis in Section 8, okay? For those of you that can't handle the truth or, light profanity, then this will not be the video for you, okay? You need to be able to hear these things in the intensity. If there were ever a good reason for profanity, it would probably be for something like this, because a lot of you have been around my channel for a long time. You know me as the guy that owns Section 8 Consulting. I really don't need that many introductions when it comes to this stuff. I rank number one on YouTube. I rank number one on Google when it comes to this stuff. So my reputation, after 20 years, and 6 of those being on YouTube, stand pretty much alone. So with that being said, let's talk about some of the things that are going on with this, and I'm going to give you guys some warnings, okay? And this is based on information that is, in my opinion, very accurate. I don't ever, read the news and use information in that way, because it's too biased. It's too political. Whether you're dealing with CNN or you're dealing with Fox News, it's always one thing or another. So we're just going to try to stick to some of the facts of the case. And hopefully, you can make a reasonable decision as to what you need to do, because things are fixing to get really bad. For those of you that are low income, that are either seeking Section 8 housing, okay, or for those of you that are already in that type of housing and considering moving, I'm having to tell a lot of you guys, stop trying to port to different states and counties. Stop trying to move out and get, and think you're going to pick up another voucher in another state, because it's becoming impossible. So let me give you some statistics. I gave you all this warning in 2020 for those of you who were still around my channel at that time. I gave you all a dire warning that this stuff was going to be coming, and that eviction levels were going to reach a height never seen before in this country. And we've arrived there. We've definitely arrived. And right now, we have around 100 million renters in the country. And out of that 100 million people, there are absolutely, by all calculations, both professionally and by analytics, there are 39 million people that are up for eviction when the end of this month rolls around, okay? We do not have the housing available anywhere in this country to cover that many people. Now, I want you to understand, this is the people that are at risk at eviction, those of you that are struggling with it. Y'all have slammed my channel since early January. Now, through section8consulting.com, booking appointments have reached frightening levels. So have the level of people that visit my channel. And I understand why. People want answers. Housing authorities don't like giving it to you. And often you have to deal with people out in the housing authority that are less than nice. Okay, so I get that. So we have 40 million. And when the end of this month reaches where it is, we're going to have a tidal wave beyond anything we've ever seen. People that are not only going to be homeless, but nowhere to go. And then you confound that with the pandemic. You have no shelters. Don't even think about showing up to shelters as a backup. A lot of those shelters are at half capacity. They're closed, and it's risky and it's dangerous. People still have that virus, for those of you that believe it exists. Look, guys, you've got 30 days to make a decision. And, I'm going to tell you, like my parents used to tell me, either shit or get off the pot. Because if you don't do something about your housing now, and they're going to put your ass on the sidewalk in 30 days, that is the absolute worst time to try to figure out what to do then, okay? This is not a normal year. And beyond that, let's talk about the housing crisis as a whole for the country, not just low income. Let's take a look at what's going on. The market prices have doubled. The housing stock is down, which means everybody's bought this stuff up. They're driving the cost up because the interest rates are so low in homes, everybody's buying them. Nobody wants to rent to anybody with a fucking voucher, okay? That's a problem we're also having. But, the market is going completely crazy. Let me give you a prime example. I live in Houston. Used to, I could refer people, say, look, save your money. You can buy a $40,000 condo. Now, I know that seems extraordinarily cheap. For most of you live up West Coast, East Coast, nothing costs that, including your car. But down here, you can still buy it. Well, the price values have gone up so high now that it's impossible. I've got hundreds, if not thousands, of people that email me every single day. I've got a voucher and I can't even use it. Nobody will rent to me. The landlords have become so gun shy at this point because of the pandemic and people's ability to pay. Now they're worrying about whether or not whether or not you have a voucher, but whether or not you can even pay them 30%. If you have a voucher that pays 70, you're paying 30% of your income. Now they want to know whether or not you got a social security check or any way to back that up. You got a lot of landlords, around 33% of the landlords I had, so I had 200. Beginning of this year, a third of them went into default. They lost their buildings because nobody paid. So I feel the pain from both sides, from both the tenant and the landlord. So I'm working with these landlords and they're foreclosing. I mean, I just dealt with a situation in California. These guys paid $8 million for a building. It failed. It absolutely failed. Nobody fucking paid their rent. What was the landlord to do? So I understand it from both perspectives. So let me give you some statistics real quick, okay? And this is loosely based on what I could find. If you're welcome to disprove anything that I do or say, obviously. You know, you can never argue the point when you have an internet troll. But for the sake of this, let's just say it's an estimate, all right? So right now, U.S. housing prices have increased 15%, and that's the highest we've seen in 30 years. 56% of the people out here can no longer get affordable rents at all. In other words, even if you had a voucher, you can't even rent the place. It's so high. In other words, the landlords have basically raised the rent so high on subsidized or even normal properties that even if you had a voucher, you couldn't use it. The other thing we had that's really confounded is since 2000, all these housing properties out there. So we had a big stock of housing, low-income housing around the U.S. Well, it was somebody's brilliant idea to defund that. And so we've lost 93% of all the available stock of housing for low-income people. We have woefully underfunded it. Now, I know some of you would argue it on a political basis, whether or not, you know, I'm a low-income lover, you know, and stuff like that. Let me tell you something. If you're an American, you're born here, you go to work all your life, then you're fucking entitled. You're absolutely entitled at some point. If you're going to pay in all your life, you're entitled at some fucking point to be able to utilize the full benefits of the United States government. Only a fucking lunatic, a politically charged lunatic, would believe for 1 minute that you should only pay in and never get shit out of it, okay? So let me make myself clear. Any of you guys that are popping in that are politically motivated behind your comments, I'll put your ass up. I don't have time for it. I'm out here dealing with normal people. And if you're unable to understand what reality is and how it works, then this isn't for you, okay? So let's move on from there. Currently, only a quarter of the people that actually apply for vouchers. Here's the problem. A lot of you guys think I can't get a voucher because I can't get one. I'm not qualified. It has nothing to do with that. The reason we have a problem is because they're only accepting a quarter of the people that apply. So if you have 1,000 people apply for a voucher that are fully qualified with preferences, they simply chop the list down to only 25%. In other words, 75% of the people that applied that actually have the qualifications to get this, the preferences, they won't even give them a voucher. Okay? So that's what it is. That's really what it is. Let's talk about Hope VI, which was a national public housing stock and also a Fair Cloth Amendment written by the idiots back in 1999. So what it did is it chopped all the budget out of this. So, you know, we do have COVID funding and we have new funding being raised, but there's not enough houses anymore. I mean, it's just a perfect storm of let's double the cost of homes and go into a frenzy. Let's add a pandemic where people have no money. And then let's try to get housing vouchers from housing authorities that have basically cut the cord to their telephone, no longer answer the door because now they have the perfect excuse. Now they can essentially collect money from the federal government, put them in big bags, throw it in the back office, and fuck it. Why even open the door? They don't have to. You've got a virus, so they don't need to open the door anymore. So now they have the ultimate pleasure of being able to completely block you from even accepting an application. If you're a housing authority employee, tell me I'm lying, okay? Because I've got over 60 of them that contact me in the past year. Those are the honest ones that have definitely told me how it works. I understand it from the past 20 years. Now, there's going to be some of you out here that work for housing authorities that don't like my style. Well, that's tough shit, man. That's real tough shit because, the thing about it is, if you don't want to earn your paycheck, then maybe you should be the one standing in the line. If you can't understand what it means to serve the people, to do your job, and do it without being such an asshole, then maybe that job's not for you. That's a big problem we have with housing authorities. Running shit the way they want, like it's the old West. We're not in the old West. You can't just treat people like trash. So I'm going to call, like I said, I'm not going to sugarcoat shit anymore because it's serious now. It was serious last year, but with up 40 million people up for eviction, let me give you a good example. In 17 small counties in Texas alone, they've already filed 50,000 evictions. Make no fucking mistake. There are 20,000, just under 20,000 cities, towns across America. That's a sampling of 17 cities. What do you think is going to happen to the rest of the country? If you think for a minute the landlord's not going to put your ass out and evict you, you may want to reconsider. Look, guys, if you don't know what to do or how to do it, if you don't know how to compete at the highest level to get a voucher at this point, then you better fucking hire a consultant, okay? It doesn't have to be me. I'm not in this for money. I think I take 4 consults a day. If I wanted to sit here and make $48 for 20 minutes of consultant, I would do this 30 times a day. I have other shit going on. I have other businesses. This is not a business for me. This is personal because I care about what happens to y'all, okay? Just like the chump change I get paid from YouTube for ads. You click an ad, you make a nickel. I don't need this stuff. I don't need any of it. I close the channel now. That'd be fine by me. I've done it to serve people, especially those of you, and you know how I feel about seniors and children and victims. It's so hard. 14 of those 20 years never charged anybody a penny. Not a penny. Got on my personal phone at all hours of day and night, trying to rescue people from shelters, under bridges, rescue them from their own addiction, rescue some of you from severe mental illness. All these things that affect you and affect your ability to be able to reason and logic and get housing fairly. This is not a fair system. I've told you all exclusively, this is no mystery. It's a game. You either play the game better than the people that created it, or you get fucked. That's how it works. Anybody don't believe me, then talk to any New Yorker, talk to anybody in New Jersey or California. Tell me that building is filled with good Christian folks that want nothing but the best for you. They're going to meet you at the front door with some lemonade and a fucking voucher. If you live in that delusion that you believe that for a moment that you can just ride down there like it's McDonald's and go and grab you a fast voucher, you're completely out of your mind. Look at all the shit I go through. I worked with some people for 3 weeks just to be able to negotiate the system well enough under federal regulation, Title 24, using housing authorities' actual manuals against them, literally using those manuals against them. 1,700 and counting manuals, over 1 million pages. I have to reread this shit every year. Every time we get a new president that imparts a new flavor, I have to reread all that stuff and then figure out new ways to make these housing authorities comply to do their job. These people act like they act like these are their personal vouchers. But as I've always preached to you guys, it's just like anything else. If you were friends with the people at the housing authority, and you happen to be the guy that's doing the maintenance, or maybe Sally that's working the front office, and Sally's drug-addicted son down the street needs a fucking voucher, you can bet she'll punch that in her computer, and that voucher will be kicked out of the printer within 30 minutes if you're friends with these people. If you've got ties to the housing authority, but the rest of you mere mortals, be prepared to spend a fucking lifetime to get one, unless you've got somebody like myself that goes out here and fights for this stuff for you guys. Seriously. There's nothing honest about it. The applications have become so convoluted. They're full of questions that are asked in such a way that I've always told you guys that some of those questions are designed to disqualify you. You think they're asking because they're concerned for you. So the question, well, how, do you have family and such and such? No, the questions are being asked to disqualify you. Some of the questions are designed to shame you. It works on you morally, ethically, to get you to not answer or think it's not applicable. This is the kind of shady shit we deal with every day. And I get some of you guys think, oh, well, I'm just going to go down and give all these great, honest answers. Well, good luck with that. Have you ever known to play a rigged game and do it honestly? Look, guys, if you don't know how to compete with this shit, then get somebody that does, okay? Because let me tell you something. Your home and where you live and your children and your old and your elderly, this is not a game for y'all. And you're trying to play under a different set of rules, okay? You ever watch Netflix and you see that guy, You Better Call Saul? Well, you can kind of think of me as that kind of Section 8 consultant. I'm willing, the thing about it is I'm willing to get as dirty as they are. If you want to hand me shit, then I'll hand it right back to you. I'm willing to compete under federal law, whatever way it takes. I'm willing to eliminate whoever gets in their way when it comes to these housing authority employees. Look, I intentionally bait these guys just so I can get rid of them, get them terminated. Especially the bad ones. You know what? If you're not busy, man, get on Google, type in housing authority lawsuit. Then why do we have 161 housing authorities being sued if the whole building is full of old women knitting and they're all good Christian people handing out vouchers? Shit does not work that way, people. It's not as simple as just filling out the application. You've got to have these preferences. And right now, when we reach the end of the month, now either they extend this or they don't, but you know what we're going to have is 40 million, somewhere between 20 million, maybe 40, somewhere up in there, people evicted. And there's absolutely only one of me. These other companies that are on Google, that say consulting, they're willing to consult for big bucks. Try $1,500, $2,500. You think they're going to pick up the personal cell phone and call you? You think they're going to work on your case? I'll tell you what they can do. They'll work on cashing your check, and you'll get what you get by email. Okay? Look, guys, you got to take this responsibility serious. Some of you got kids, you're not thinking straight. So look, I'll put it to you this way. If you don't know somebody, you can always book a consult with me. My information is all over the channel. My reputation is proven. I'm not here to sell anything. If you want to give it a try, you're risking a lot, okay? So beyond all that, this is a real housing crisis, and I'm afraid that by this winter, this Christmas, there's going to be a lot of people that have not only lost their home, but they're going to lose everything in it because they have nowhere to store it and no money. And so I'm going to have elderly people that have 6, 7 cats or dogs. They're going to have they're going to be heartbroken. Every week I deal with people that are suicidal because they're fixing not only lose their home and all their property. Some people are fixing to lose all of their children. Some people are fixing to lose everything that they've had in their life. They've worked for 60, 70 years. They've been staying in the same Section 8 voucher home for 28 years, and they're fixing to put them out. I've got women with newborns. You know what I'm saying? They're sitting and they have nowhere to go but the sidewalk. Not even the homeless shelter take them. Look, guys, if you don't know what to do, start watching some of the videos I make, okay? None of this stuff is my opinion. I base everything that I do on Title 24, the entirety of federal regulation. I use Nana McKay, the actual people that create the Housing Authority manuals. There's a big difference between somebody talking a bunch of bullshit on YouTube, 3 steps to get a fucking voucher, and me. I base everything I do on all technicalities. This means I have their data manuals, their operations manual, their employee guides, their scoring systems, even the fucking lottery details that they use to essentially base and score you guys to where you're going to be in that list. Then you have the other choice is you've got an actor on the other YouTube channel. You know what I'm saying? Do a little bit of acting, make a 5-minute video, click, they get a few nickels, they're happy. Then the following week, they're going to be making cakes, maybe painting fingernails. Who fucking knows? But I want you to watch yourself, guys, because the thing about this is y'all are breaking my heart with this. I get calls every day, and I can't even sleep because I've got women I've literally got old women in their 80s that have nowhere to go. You know what I'm saying? Their entire life, all their photos, their money, everything, all their loved pets, everything on the street, and there's no consolation from the landlord, none whatsoever. That old lady sitting out there with nowhere to go, she's not operating like she's 20 anymore. What do you think is going to happen to her? Why do you think people call me and they're near death? At this point, they don't even want to go on. Who would want to go on if you're faced with the prospect of losing everything, and then you suddenly realize what I've always known, that these housing authorities do not give a shit about you or what's going to happen. They've convoluted it and turned it into a game. Then they politically charged this and motivated it. You know, it's no longer simple. We're talking about thousands of pages of rules that were designed almost for aliens. Who the fuck would ever meet some of these rules? They're so bizarre that in order to be at the top of a waiting list, you would have to do a lot of bizarre shit would have to happen. I don't even know if any human exists that actually could reach the highest score they give. Why? Because you've got senators that write laws that make it a federal regulation, but they're not writing it. They're handing it down to children in colleges that convolute it further. They send it back to Congress. They send it back to the House. And then what you got is these fantastic fucking laws that make no sense. The process of eliminating. Look at the bizarre rules they put behind people that have suffered through domestic violence. Who the hell could ever, actually a real person who'd been abused, put in the hospital on a breathing machine, but the fucking rules they've made are so strenuous that it's next to impossible for them to get VA, WA housing. You literally have to be represented by somebody like myself that actually understands letter for letter and how to actually force, if not break the housing authority's hand clean off to get what you need out of that, okay? Mind you that you were born in America, you pay taxes all your life, but you got to stand there like you're a bum with a cup and beg like a fucking dog for a system you already paid into. Treated like trash, put out like trash, and when you finally need help, the people who run the shit are trash and treat you like trash. This is what you work for all your life, to be treated like a piece of scum and a piece of trash. Let me tell you something, folks. You don't got to put up with shit like that. If you're being treated badly by these people, they're violating federal law and they're doing other things, or they're just giving you the straight fucking runaround, there's plenty of remedies. You know what I'm saying? There are plenty of remedies to be able to handle these kind of housing authorities. There's lots of ways to bend them to my will. And if it needs to be to have to do clean the house where people actually end up being charged, then that's fine. Now, I want you to understand something, guys. I'm not an attorney. I didn't do that. But I tell you what, lots of attorneys hire me because of what I know. I get attorneys almost every week to say, hey, man, I went to law school. I don't have time to spend another 20 years to learn what you learned. So we'd like to bring you on as a consultant just to help us square it away. You see my point? I didn't learn this stuff yesterday. I didn't learn any of this from Google. I went out there and it took me 20 years to do it. And I'm still learning. Telephone books. You know what I'm saying? Every city, every housing authority is owned by the county and they have their own set of rules. So I have to sit there and navigate all the crazy shit they put in there. If you convolute the rules good enough, then you can pretty much decide what race, what age, and what problem you'd like funneled into your housing authority. You see how that shit works out? How you can be discriminatory, you can be prejudiced, you can be racist, you can be a bigot. A lot of this shit goes on these housing authorities, and you're not being based on the criteria of need or the fact that you're an American and worked all your life. You're being based on some crazy ass bitch that works in there, decides she doesn't like you or doesn't want to give you a voucher. It's not based on principle. So you have to watch yourself, folks. So, look, I know some of you guys suffer from schizophrenia and different things, but I want to tell you something. I'm not trying to make you more paranoid. Some housing authorities operate under the rule of the law, but there's a lot of them that don't, okay? And I am very concerned about this. I have always represented the interest of people in general. I've got 21 cats. I always talk about those in my videos, that I care that much for them. I spend a lot of times with the elderly, just talking to them because they're lonely. Talking with mothers. I deal with people that are so mentally ill, I'm not even sure that reality connects, and I still continue to fight for these people without charging them one penny. So I'll tell you something, guys. When I leave this earth, let me tell you, I have no regrets. If I've got to answer for living a bad life, then fuck it. I've done everything I can. I've done everything I can to help you guys. I publish these men. You think I sit here and create get all of these manuals and I hide them? No, I'm actually giving them out. I publish the links, everything. Hell, I've even published director reports directly from HUD quicker than even CNN and Fox News can get them. Publish them just so you're able to arm yourself to adequately get fucking housing. You see what I'm saying? And I'm sorry for the expletives, guys, but you know what? As I said in the beginning of the video, I cannot think of a better reason in which to use these expletives to truly reflect the intensity of what's happening. And that's the fact that a lot of you guys are going to be evicted. It's going to be a horrific ending of a year for me because I got to tell you, one week I was pretty much put in tears about 20 different times because there's nothing like talking to somebody that sounds like your grandmother and all she has left is her purse because she's been treated like trash and a dog and put on the street. She's been forced to basically give all her pets up. They all go to the shelter to be put down. This is her reward for paying into a system that doesn't give a shit about her, okay? So yeah, it hits home for me. I can't even sleep some nights. But I tell you one thing, I go from upset about this stuff to absolutely fucking intense to the point that when I take your case, I will hammer the shit out of any housing authority. And let me tell you, once I lock onto them, there's no letting them go. I'm not going to be happy till every shitty one in there that's causing all the issues with racism, bigotry, and other things, the mistreatment of people in general, the malfeasance with how they're actually handling these vouchers, I won't stop until I see these people terminated. Not till I see their ass out there with a pair of 3rd Street flip-flops begging for a voucher and a hot meal. You know, I think justice is well served when you take one of those assholes and you put them out there to experience life the same way that some of you seeing it. Out there with nothing and no home. Now we flip the script. Now you get a taste of your own venom. I'm angry and I'm pissed off because I am tired of watching women and children and the elderly and the disabled put out like this. I am so sick. It's breaking me from the inside. I've been doing this, 20 years, and I got to tell you, this is devastating to watch this play out. And it's playing out right now, all month. And then if they decide over there, whoever's deciding up at the Capitol Hill, that this is going to be the final extension they give, then the game is really going to get severe. With a housing shortage, double prices, no vouchers, only a quarter being granted, COVID locking the doors, housing authorities not answering phones, shelters at half capacity and no place to go. You know, I don't know how well of a year it's going to be. Look, guys, if y'all need help, if you need help and you don't have anybody, don't think that. If you're thinking this might be your last day out there, don't do that. There's still a few of us out there willing to fight for you, okay? So like I said, this video is not for everybody. Not everybody's going to get it or appreciate it, but I can tell you one damn thing. For those of you that have enough left, mentally, morally, spiritually, that want to fight, you know, and still get housing, I'm willing to help you with it, okay? So I'm going to open up to these comments and questions, and I hope there's not going to be a lot of crazy shit in the comments. But I've got to tell you, man, I'm truly, truly concerned about y'all, a lot of you. Let me tell you something else, guys. Most of you that are new, when I was a child, early teen, I'm going to tell you something that I've probably never even mentioned in most of my videos. I was put out of the house. I spent 10 years on the street. So before you think that I can't practice what I preach, let me tell you something. Walk a mile in my shoes. I traveled across the country, stayed in shelters. Hell, I even lived in a crack house once. Doesn't mean I was using it. Okay? Stayed at, was homeless in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Seattle, Denver, Oregon, Chicago. I should show you some pictures of me from those days. That was over 25 years ago. 10 years out there. I finally got tired. And I was fortunate enough to be an intelligent guy. So when I got tired of hearing bullshit and people lying to me from these housing authorities, why can't I get a housing? Why can't I get a voucher? Why is none of this shit you preach emergency, that I started studying the law, started reading. So instead of being on the streets, turning up a beer or hitting a crack pipe, I went into a public library and I armed myself. I've spent all of these years trying to teach you guys how to get in principle what you were granted as an American. Okay? So before any of you think I don't understand, let me tell you something. I went from damn near nothing. I mean nothing, my friends. pretty much eating trash out the can. And I had so much fun, I wouldn't even beg for money back in those days. Just a kid on the streets, rolling around the country like an idiot. So I learned, and I learned well. And then I discovered at one point I was really good. Then it got better. Then I became a professional. Now I'm ranked number 1 on YouTube and Google, period. There's nobody that competes with me. Not even the talking heads on CNN are as good as me. I can sit there with a HUD employee or a housing authority employee. Trust me, they can't compete. I've had them do it before. I've had someone pay for consults, put me on speakerphone with their employees. You know what they were attempting to learn from me? They weren't there. They didn't make that consult pay that fee because they were concerned. They were trying to figure out how to get around what I was doing. I posted, if you go on my community page, you'll see on my analytics, I posted 100 times. Montana.gov, California.gov, Dallas.gov, Houston.gov. I've got at least 60, maybe 80 different city and county offices that follow my channel. Maybe I'm being investigated because they don't appreciate what I do. A lot of them prefer that I go away. I also have what I call honorary degrees, and I love these. My next video, I'm going to publish them. It's 12 cease and desist letters from in-house attorneys from housing authorities around the nation that would prefer my ass go away. Okay, now understand a cease and desist is more like it's a threat. I haven't violated any law. That's the problem. I'm smart enough not to break laws. I'm also smart enough to help you guys get them. Let me tell you something else, guys. Besides those honorary, because when you give me a cease and desist, that's a request, my friend, and I don't have to grant that. Okay, I got everything legal. They're just pissed off that I put in federal public requests, and I nailed their ass. I got their manuals, and now I can play the game better than they can. So it's as simple as that. So I always appreciate when they send me that love mail. I'm gonna start framing those fuckers seriously. Now, beyond all that, I want to tell you something else, guys. My success rate is not perfect. Everybody else, we're so good, pump yourself up. But the thing about it is, 7% of the time I fail. I'm only successful with this stuff 93%. I'm even less successful in other areas, and I'm always upfront about that because nobody likes to sit there and talk to somebody that's talking bullshit that doesn't understand what the fuck they're talking about. Nobody likes that. I don't need to sell myself. Like I said, I don't need any introductions. Everybody knows exactly who I am. I wouldn't have investor groups with 20, 30, and $40 million buildings put it and let me preside over the entire application process. Attorneys around the country, counsel, social workers, hundreds of them, wouldn't consult with me if they thought I was a joke. You see what I'm saying? That's the difference here. I actually do know. So, guys, let's open up the comments. I see y'all spraying me with comments over here. And I think, I think I kept the profanity pretty reasonable today. I've been definitely more intense at other times. So, but you know how that goes. I need to be able to appeal to everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a $2 trick on 3rd Street, if you're a crack dealer, if you're a grandmother, if you're a businessman. I'm always going to try to appeal to every audience because all people need help. So, I don't want to just come up as one person. Like I said, I can change the script if that's what it means to help you guys get what you need. So let's take a look at these comments. I keep saying that. All right, here we go. There's a lot of them, too. I'm going to start with the last comments here. You're so true about the housing authority. So Hannah, that's Hannah. I appreciate you saying that. Why is beauty salon not allowed to open? I don't know about city regulation when it comes to beauty salon, but I would imagine it's a collection of places where people breathe on each other. I sent a cease and butt to my landlord for harassment. That's M-A-A-T. Yeah, that's pretty good, man. Hey, guys, let me tell you something. Here's some advice real quick. These landlords are getting clever, and I know the games they play. So this is what you need to watch out. First of all, if they come to your door, don't answer. Number 2, if they take some shit to your door, leave it taped there till the wind blows it off. Okay? If you see an eviction notice, you need to take a photograph of that paper. I want you to call the city. A lot of landlords, what they do is a very clever game. They'll actually fill it out, okay? They never actually file it. They fill it out. They're depending on you being stupid and not realizing they didn't do that. They would prefer you to leave without costing them any money. So if we're really going to go, make sure it hurts as much as possible. Make them file for the court date. Make them pay the sheriff another couple $100. And then what I always tell landlords is simply this. If there's millions of evictions going on, then it would likely take about a year before you'd even get a court date, unless you live in a city that's operating at a highly efficient pace. Look, guys, and all these letters, notice to vacate is just, let me tell you what that is. That is a piece of toilet paper. Notice to vacate, you got 3 days. There's no legal standing with that. That is toilet paper they print off the internet. It is a request. It has no legal standing. When you see vacate notice, you take that shit, you ball it up, you throw it in the lawn. Okay? Light it up. Doesn't mean a damn thing. So, and the reason I'm saying that with intensity is because not only are we talking about individuals that are renting, but we're also talking about landlords that aren't being paid. If your landlord's doing it the wrong way, then in principle, I believe what I just said is appropriate. If you're actually just not paying because you don't want to, then I'd have to side with the landlord. So I'm always very split. It depends on situations. So Robert Jones, Tampa Housing Authority doors are closed. They do not answer phones. Let me tell you something, guys. Most of all these housing authorities have now completely nailed their doors shut. And if they do answer the phones, they'll put the most ignorant fucking person you've ever met in your life on the phone. They pride it's almost like they're trained to give you misinformation, not the whole truth. And a lot of you guys are trying to build a case around, you're trying to build a case against the housing authority by calling them and asking what the rules are. If you want to build a real case that's really going to be painful and kick the wasp nest and throw somebody completely under the bus, call me. Okay? You cannot be, it's just like with the police. You can't be beat up by the police and then run down to the police station and report them because they're going to investigate their own crime. You guys trying to learn the rules and policies of the housing authority by calling the same assholes administering is a terribly stupid idea. You need a consultant in that area because there's lots of ways to make shit painful for them. And now, let me be very clear about something. I'm never going to engage a housing authority if they're operating ethically. The same thing goes with tenants and landlords. If you're a slumlord, I won't do business with you. If I've been suckered into it, I will walk away from it. If you're a tenant that's delusional, that thinks shit's happening in your property when it's not, I will cut you loose. Okay? Because I'm not going to do stuff that's going to be that unethical. I'll represent people that have real, I'll represent you as the best I can through consulting to help you. But if you're just doing things because you've got a problem, that, you got a loose screw, then I don't know if I can help you with that, okay? Let's take a look here. You're a man of honor, and I deeply respect you, says Peter. I appreciate that, Peter. A lot of people do chime in, and some people like me, some don't. Man, I probably would not have this channel if I was a sensitive guy. I've been on the phone, and I've had people tell me things that would really just light your ass up. I've had others flirt. I've had people try to tell me if I didn't help them produce a voucher, they would terminate their life, and the horror stories and many other things. So it takes a lot to do what I do, I guess. Ruth, I would like to talk to you, please. Ruth, I posted a link in the upper part of the chat, also in the actual description. Should be an email and also a way to book a consult. Look, guys, like I said, I'm not pressing you. A lot of you are low income or have no money to even work with. I'm not pressing y'all about that, okay? There's a way to contact me throughout my whole YouTube channel. When you click on a picture, it'll bring you to the main page, and you see lots of stuff. I have a whole website and all that stuff as well. So Las Vegas is horrible. Vegas right now is about to collapse its market. So let's talk about collapsed markets. Florida's about to sink. Nevada's about to sink. California is gone. That looks like a sidewalk that's been, somebody takes a shotgun and they shoot and ricochet right off the sidewalk. There's nothing left of California at this point. It's so bad over there. And I'm not talking about the people of the state. I'm talking about the housing crisis so severe in that state, it's not even worth time. I would have to literally port you guys way the hell out of LA, Los Angeles, San Francisco. It's pretty intense there. So, my thing is, guys, just like Justice Savannah says there, take notes. I don't joke. My reputation stands alone. If my videos were all shit and trash and were not worth anything, then I would 80% of these videos wouldn't be completely liked. So that's one thing you can't manipulate on YouTube. I cannot keep 100% likes on videos if I was selling trash. So, and I'm not selling anything, by the way. Tim Hankins, I appreciate your truth and knowledge. Do you have any information on North Carolina Brunswick? Yes. In fact, I've dealt with them probably about 26 different times. You're fortunate enough that's a pretty decent housing authority. Rita Young, it looks like your comment was retracted. Hey guys, do not use specific words or profanities in the chat because if it feels that you're talking about body parts or other things, it will automatically block you. It's nothing to do with me. Rose says that Chicago is the worst. Well, Chicago's a runner-up, but I would not put it on my top list for shitty, okay? L.A., the Bronx, Long Island, a lot of parts of New York, lots of places down south, a lot of places down south. Really just depends. Robert Jones told you to call back in May. And let me tell you something, guys. When a housing authority employee tells you to do something, look, they're not your jailer. It's like I tell them. They tell me, hey, man, just call back, in a week or call back in a month. Hey, look, you don't run me. I run me. Don't ever presume to tell me what to do. And that's the same thing you should tell those people. Well, really, you shouldn't, okay? Because that might kick the nest. But here's the deal. You call back when you're damn well good ready to do that. Because let me tell you what's going to happen. You call back in a month, they're going to tell you to call back in 3 months. Why? Because you sit there and you listen to them like a dog in a bone. You see what I'm saying? Don't ever let these people potty train you to do certain things. That's what they do. Because you're viewing them like your parents as an authority. They're not an authority on shit. Their job is to print out vouchers all day, okay? They're not out there saving lives. They're not doing anything that's worth even talking about, in my opinion. They're out there to take an application. How fucking hard could that possibly be? Process it into the algorithm, into the lottery, and then issue the fucker to you, okay? These people are not your authority. Do not let them command you that way. So I'm going open a tear on that because a lot of people are just letting them say certain things, and then they call back 6 months from now. Look, you can't. Also, you guys, you're making changes over the phone. Don't ever do that. Every time you deal with a housing authority, it better be certified mail with a tracking. A lot of these guys will pretend, oh yeah, I'm typing. Sure, okay, I'm typing, and then you call back a year later. Well, we don't know who you are. There's nothing in the computer system. I've got a bunch of clients. Roughly 13% of all my clients believed that they were writing all that stuff down while they were on the phone. No, they weren't. They laughed, they hung up, they went to lunch. You, my friend, your shit was never even filed. Lots of people. And then they'll call a month later. Oh, we'll call back in around Christmas. Call Christmas, call next summer. Well, of course. It means she or he's busy. You're making them try to earn a fucking paycheck. What I tell you guys, when you try to make angry people in housing authorities that don't want to do their job, earn a paycheck, what happens? You have to call back in a month. I've told you how these fucking people are. So, yeah, I just went on a tear on that one. I appreciate your time and knowledge. Okay, so I already read that one. Hannah Joshua, my point is, why is housing essentially a beauty salon? Hannah, I do get your point on that one. I really need help. I'm in distress. So Crystal says, I need help. I'm in distress, not knowing what to go on. My eviction. You got case managers. Case managers are great if you need mental health. A lot of case managers know how to put your name, your address, stuff like that on your application, but a lot of case managers are not trained whatsoever in Section 8 or housing choice vouchers. So your caseworker is pretty much as useless as your lawn guy. So I wouldn't recommend that, okay? And I see you got domestic issues there, so that's VAWA. If your caseworker was worth a cat's worth, if your caseworker was worth her weight in salt, she would have already apprised you of your rights. It tells me she's either too busy, got too much, or really doesn't know shit about Section 8. So my advice there, Crystal, is get with me because you're going to end up spending a lifetime in a homeless shelter, fucking with the caseworkers. Where should I go? And that's from Ruth. Well, Ruth, I don't know the context of the question. If you could, let me know further down. Look up the 1-800 National Domestic Violence. Okay, so that domestic violence line does help. However, again, you're putting the thing about you should always call that if you need help, okay? But they're really not that great at the housing end of it. That's the thing about this. A lot of you guys, you go to hotlines, you go to 211, you go to the caseworker, the camp counselor, all that. They're great at certain parts, but none of these organizations, including the 800s, the people that work there, that fill out your application, submit it, they're putting down, they don't know much about Section 8 or vouchers, and they're putting down the worst possible fucking answers for you guys. You'll never rank that way. So what I'm saying is pursue these other things, but just when they say, hey, you want us to help you file for housing choice voucher or Section 8. Just decline, okay? That's a lot like having, like I said, the lawn man do your application. These people are not trained for Section 8, okay? What's the difference between HCV and FSS? You would have to explain FSS to me because I don't know if that's a city, state, or federal program. HCV is obviously Housing Choice Voucher, and that's from MAT Eli. Justice was saying HUD needs to look into all small county towns. Well, Miss Budge, we hired her. She's director of HUD now. She's doing a good job. She's doing an amazing job. She don't take shit off no housing authorities, and she's suing. She's been on a rampage suing these housing authorities. The problem is there's so many of them. A lot of you guys are so scared to report anything through housing authorities in fear of losing your voucher, and I don't blame you. A lot of shady people work at these places that you never report anything. So housing authorities can go whole generations, of doing crazy shit at their housing authority because nobody reports them. That's the thing about hiring an outside guy like me. They don't even see me coming. I'm like a dump truck full of concrete. When I slam into your building, I'm going to let me tell you something. The people that work in that building, when I go after them, they're going to have a nervous breakdown overnight in that bed because they don't know whether or not they're going to lose their job or go to jail. I don't fuck around with these housing authorities. When I go after them, you're going to spend the whole day shaking like you drank too much coffee because the thing about it is they know their ass is on the line. And I'm going to hammer it and do as many reports as I've got to do through regional or district or the main office in D.C. until I pretty much devastate your fucking career and you never take a job at a housing authority again. Good luck to you, because I'll see you at the McDonald's drive-through window, because you sure as the hell not going to stay working there doing what you're doing. Moving on. Barbara C. Yeah, I'm in California. It's so bad I can't get anything. Barbara, I don't know which particular county. There are still some opportunities in farther out counties, but right now I've been migrating most of California to Oregon, Washington, and Nevada. It's just too severe for California. What you're seeing in California right now is what you're going to witness again in about 10 or 15 years in Florida. Florida is becoming inundated. It's imbalanced with too many older people there, and eventually what you see in California is going to play out in Florida. And eventually, when that migration ends there, the migration will begin with Texas, because Texas has 6 of the 11 biggest cities in the country. And so we're watching it play out. Too many people in one spot. A lot of you guys think everything's political. Look, it's not. Sometimes it comes down to just too many people. Bad decisions and people running city government. Let's see what else we got here. Case managers do the same as HUD. No, they do not. Case managers do not. Let me tell you something. Social workers and caseworkers do handle cases, and their version of casework often includes phone calls and having a cheat sheet of places they call. What happens from there with caseworkers and social workers is they basically refer you over to that agency and you become their problem, okay? Now, the difference between case managers and social workers and me is I do the whole case. That's the difference. I don't pawn you off. Look, I'm not going to pawn anybody off. So I guess it's open interpretation. Now, don't get me wrong here. There are social workers and caseworkers out there that are brilliant. Problem is, those people don't work in homeless shelters. They don't work at housing authorities, and oftentimes for low-income people. That's the problem. So when I tell you in the situation where you get a case manager, whatever, at mental health or the county or the city or whatever, a lot of those people, man, they lost hope of what they were doing a long time ago. Now, if you can afford a good one, they'll be a lot like me. But again, even the good ones don't know what I know when it comes to the housing authority and how to get through that process, okay? Phil Carter. Hey, Phil, man, what's going on, guys? So I see today I've got a lot of people here that are regular members of my channel, and Phil and his brother is a good group of guys. I know one of his brothers is elderly, and we've been working on their case for a while. I think they were successful. I don't know. I got to talk with Phil again. Totally Treen. Hey, good to see you again. Sorry I'm late to your live question. Well, today is not so much of a question and answer. It's more like expletives, and call it the way I see it, unsugar-coated shit for one video. You know, a lot of guys have known me to get on here, and I basically just start to preach, but I back up what I say, okay? That's the thing about it. I can preach all day, don't matter. But the thing about it is, if you can't back up what you say, then you don't need to be talking. Don't be scared. They took your civil rights. Fight for your rights. Yep, and the first way you can fight for your rights, guys, is to understand the federal rules, federal policies, the regulations, manuals, operations manuals. You need to be apprised of that. How many of you guys, you know, looking at the list of people I see in my comment section right now, a lot of you have seen me. I'm giving you 400- and 500-page housing authority manuals. I'll arm you with the same shit they trained with. If you're going to compete with somebody lying to your face in that office at the housing authority, you might as well know the rules in which they can get fired. You might as well know the rules in which they rank you. That's the kind of information I give my clients. I don't give you flyers. I'm not like that other guy on YouTube. He sells Section 8 books. His fucking advice is that you run down, spend $20, bring a pizza and a soda pop to these people, and they're going to give you a voucher. Who do you think? Who do you think's an idiot? Okay, so be careful, guys. Y'all buying books from silly shit from crazy people. Look, let me tell you something. If a soda and a pop was all that needed to happen, I would charge $80 an hour, and I would just go and call Domino's, Pizza Hut, and get you a voucher. It was that simple. So, I consulted a couple of weeks ago and turned 55 in 2 months, so decided still. Oh, yeah. So a lot of you guys, as I mentioned many times, if you've reached the lovely age of 55, housing gets a lot easier and your case is a lot more workable for me. Matter of fact, the day that you turn 55, guys, when you blow out your candle and you have a beer, whatever you're doing, next thing you do, book a consult. Let me tell you something. When you're 55 and older, there's a lot of things I can do for you at that age. Okay, there are lots of ways for me to compete the system for you. So. Any more questions, guys? I'm going to check the time here because I seem I've gotten lost in my own conversation. We'll go ahead, 52 minutes and 41 people. So, all right, let's cover some pertinent details. So I've done enough questions for right now. A lot of you guys are going to hammer me with emails anyways. Some of you guys send me emails at 4,000 or 5,000. One lady sent me 10,000 words in one email. I understand that, you know, especially my older seniors, they like to express everything. I get that. And I have the decency and respect to read every word, although it takes a while because I get a lot of emails, you know. So, guys, the best way to handle your situation for housing and to avoid the curve here is you need to start early. You need to work on an application, but don't submit it. You need you need technically somebody really to look at that. I think you understand what I'm saying. You got to get every answer right. If the law says we'll give Mary the number 3 position if she has this problem, you know how I play the game, right? If you don't, excuse me a minute. Oh, so let's do that again. If the law says under rule number 1 that if Mary has a specific problem, we'll give her she has this additional specific problem, we'll give her a higher position on the waiting list. And Mary calls me. Now, you know, after reading over 1 million pages of manuals and rules to figure out how things rank, you know exactly what I'm going to tell you, right? If you don't have that problem, then we sure as the hell going to get it for you before you file that application. It's simple as that. Whenever housing authorities make rules, I match a plot in their course. And if I find out what the specific things are, guess what we're going to be spending this month doing? We're going to meet as many as possible because there's going to be you consulting with me, okay? Get a voucher. And then there's everybody else that fills out their application. Those that do it on their own to get one preference. So they're on the list, and they've made that lovely position of 10,483. So in other words, you'll get a phone call in 2035. My clients will get 5, 6, 7 of the preferences out of 9. And you'll be getting that call real soon, okay? So that's the difference between doing it yourself and me. I'm able to identify the specific things they're looking for. I hunt them down. If you don't have the problem, we'll damn well figure out a way to legally and legitimately make sure that it's applicable to you. There's no other choice than for you to climb that list. You do it yourself, you have no idea. Half the answers you're giving wrong. Besides that, let's take another logical step to look at housing authorities and how they operate. A lot of them would prefer that you couldn't even find their website. I've seen a lot of that lately. They'll actually leave out words like low income, housing authority, and all that, just so you can't find them on Google. Pretty amusing, right? Some of them have gone forward. Some housing authorities have actually called themselves commissions because they know that you're looking for, you're typing in housing authority. So some of them, you can't even find them. So, it's a game of bingo. That's where I start sending out federal public requests, and I compel them and their in-house lawyers to comply. And when I make them comply, they're going to tell me, there's a certain limit to it, but I will be able usually to determine how many people are on that list and for what reasons. Now, if you've got a housing authority that only has 100 vouchers to give out, and then there's 20 of those vouchers for domestic violence, did you know what I'm going to do, right? I identify which particular funding level inside that housing authority has the shortest list, and then guess what Mary is going to go and have on her application that day? I told you, if you're going to play this fucking game, you're going to have to play it better than the people that created it. I've said enough in just 5 minutes to make you understand that I'm not just good at what I do, I'm way, way past that. That game of bingo can be multiplied by every county in the state. Make no mistake, when I do a full coverage of the state, I will identify every housing authority that has a weakness, and I will penetrate that. And then you pair it with cooperation, and then making them comply by federal law. So let me tell you, it's a hell of a way to persuasion. And let me tell you the position of a housing authority employee once they discover who I am and what I'm doing. Their first thought is anger. Well, fuck it, I don't want to deal with this guy. But the ultimate result is they have a private conversation with the people in the same building at the housing authority, and their position would simply be this. It would be in our interest simply to get rid of this guy than to sit here and to continue to battle with me. That's how I went. It would be easier for them to think and discuss in their closed office. It would be simpler just to get rid of this guy and give him the fucking voucher than have to deal with any more shit from these people. So me and the client and the voucher, because it's just not worth the energy that I can expel. So, you want to play the game? Book a consult. All right, guys, we're going to move back to some comments. God knows I'm probably going to get some emails today from Housing Authority. I had one lady lit me up, man. You could tell she was a good old girl because she sent me an email. She lit my ass on fire in that email. You shouldn't be telling people. Don't ever tell me what to do, honey buns. Don't ever presume to tell me what to do. Okay? If I'm better at doing what you do in your own office, then that's your problem, not mine. You're not going to make it mine or my client's problem. Okay? If I'm smart enough to outplay you, then that's your problem. You need to go home and rethink it. If you're not good enough to do your job, clock the fuck out, go home. Don't worry about it. You're not going to play at the same level with me. Okay? So I'm just being real. These housing authority employees, let me tell you something. Half of them never even read the manual. So they get these jobs, they train, they pay $1,000, they become a housing specialist. Woo. Okay, I could ace that with my eyes closed with no hands and no toes. I can really, that's like getting a diploma out of a bubblegum machine, okay? Whatever training they get is whatever they have time to do from the supervisor. So you usually have somebody in a housing authority that's highly educated besides in-house representation and supervisors, okay? But the rest of them, they're low-level people. And let me tell you something. For what they're being paid, you think they're going to sit down and read a few 100-page manual? No. They watch a fucking video. Like when they train you at McDonald's, you sit down, you plug into box TV, and you show them a video like a small child. So they know how to do their job. And if you put the picture of the burger on the fucking button, except their button will be a voucher. Press the voucher button. So it really comes down to whether or not, with a lot of these guys, whether or not they get involved or offended with you because you annoy them or they don't believe you deserve it. So it becomes a personal issue. I love it when housing authority employees take it personal. That way I can get personal back with them. That way we can go ahead and move it forward, especially the ones when I throw out the fishing line. That's what I call going fishing. Let me catch you snapping on that phone line and saying some shit you won't. Because then what I do is I just go ahead, put it on a third call, and then we'll do a party line directly with HUD. That way we can ensure you get your fucking walking papers today. So That's how I play it. How do you want to play it? I got nothing to lose. I've done everything legal. I got my cousin, he graduated law school about 21 years ago. So I've always got people behind me. And you know what? With all the landlords I deal with, what's so interesting about that, they have in-house counsel too. So I have lots of people that I already work with that hire me to do a job. So I probably have the largest legal counsel known. Imagine that. You're working for lawyers, right? So I've got a whole telephone book full of them that I can get advice for. They won't charge me a penny. Why? Because I consult with their law firms, okay, on these subjects. And I give them my opinion, because there's really not a legitimate way to be a HUD consultant other than putting the time in. So, yeah, I have actually more legal representation than even the housing authority has. How funny is that one? All right, let's take a look at some of these comments. Anybody about say if I'm talking shit, you don't believe it, go check it out. Proof is in the pudding. Yeah, that's all I was going to say that. The proof is out there. Either I can do what I say I can do or I don't. The channel will be filled with angry people, pissed off comments. YouTube would have shut me down if I was doing nothing but preaching bullshit. That's the difference. The ones that do that the most out here, I told you about the fidget spinner channels wanting to be a consultant for 30 minutes. They've managed to survive and I get shut down. So I do worry about YouTube sometimes. Let's take a look at these comments, guys. Is there anything I can do? So, Sonia, anything I can need to do before I'm 55 in October because I'm calling you on my birthday. Excellent. Well, Sonia, we're going to be doing happy birthdays on that. No, you don't do anything. I'm well prepared. A lot of you guys ask me extensively whether or not you need to prepare. One of the things that makes me exceptionally good at what I do is I'm highly organized, which means that most of the conversations based around me asking you questions, so I don't really need you to pull out your entire filing cabinet. It's not like a courtroom where it's based on evidence. A lot of you come into this consulting with me or consulting with you, and you believe it's based on whether or not you have the right amount of evidence and paperwork and all this other shit. It's not based on that. Your ability to climb higher or lower on a waiting list is based on the questions I'm going to ask you. Now, if we need to work further on your case, that's fine. But all the evidence and filing cabinets is what you do to prove to deal with the housing authority whenever they ask for proof. But for consulting, I don't need that. What you need is a set of open ears. I filled your email, full, verbatim, copy, paste, federal code, federal regulation. I arm you so damn well that it's frightening that when you're able to contact the housing authority, when they tell you some loose shit about something is just complete, whatever, you're able to quote verbatim federal law. And then the phone line goes dead. What then? How can you even argue the point? You're in the housing authority. You've been talking shit for years. You finally get met. You met your match. Now you've got one of my clients on the phone that's well-informed. And you just quote verbatim federal law to you. The phone line goes fucking dead because there's nothing to say. You've been sold. That's it. You've been sold. You got to go home and rethink your job now. People are on to you. They get it now. That's what I do for my clients, okay? Let's see. All right. Take a look at these comments. Kissed by Dis by Section 8 MHA case manager in Tennessee. Won't call me back, and she knows that I have less than 2 weeks. Typical behavior by those type of people. I'll tell you what, Kissed, when you got a situation like that, what I keep myself with is I keep professional licensing boards. I keep a list of them. And when you have doctors, lawyers, nurses, and caseworkers that are licensed by the state by virtue of a degree, bachelor, associate, or master, or PhD, what I do is when they don't want to cooperate, I go and just file on their license. That way, they can be reviewed professionally. And it's a damaging blow. Even one blow can jack up their insurance. So what I like to do is make that phone call the case where, hey, man, you know what? You don't want to turn my calls. That's fine. I'm going to call down to professional and ethics for you. And then I'm going to file a report to get your license. And you can enjoy the lovely increase of an extra $30,000 a year on your license. Or you call me the fuck back. Simple as that. I play hardball, people. Okay? You got somebody out here who wants to play counselor. They've given them the job. They hate the job. They don't want to call back. They want to pick up the phone. That's fine. I'll go after their professional degrees. Okay? That's how you handle that. I just put it like it's easier to find a virgin in a whorehouse than to find Section 8 house. Peter, man, you're telling the truth. I think some of this catching on some of you guys, the profanities. You know what, guys, I tried to play it straight with y'all years ago and just talk like goody two-shoes and not use profanity and anything. But you know what? The effect was a lot less appealing. People listened less. I seemed more robotic, like a man, like a professor in a blue shirt. It did not express the intensity of what I had to say, so I gave it up. Okay. Robert Jones, no, I will return a call to you May 62 in June. Look, guys, a lot of these caseworkers, man, I got 400 or 500 cases, and either they don't care or they're going to spend time. Look, it's just like anywhere else. When the mechanic's done working, he clocks out. He don't give a shit about you and your case. That's the difference. You pay somebody like me, I care. You know, there's no clock out. I give up. Oh shit, I'm done with this for the day. I continue to work with cases all the time. Rose says, do you actually talk to the housing assholes, or do you tell your clients what to say? Actually, I do. And actually what I like to do is, Rose, I like to bait them, get them nice and fired up on the phone, and then I actually plugged it in on three-way to actually HUD's regional office. That way I can get a federal employee, hear them talking shit on the phone, and then shit, it moves real rapidly then. It's called baiting, and I do it well. I like to get them when they really just lose their mind on that phone. That way, and then the other thing is I like to keep what I call press packets. So I use these press packets, and once I get that bitch's voice on the phone, then I can send out a press packet to every news agency in the surrounding city and just burn them down, completely burn them down. And then what you're left with is somebody that works in the back office of the housing authority that's basically about to have a nervous breakdown because, one, I've got that, and I've just mailed it out, sent out an email to all the national news agencies, which usually most of them don't care, but the local ones love these stories. And so, yeah, it's called setting them on fire. Yeah, I do talk to them. It's you get more. I find you get more, not honey with bees. I always say you get more honey with being friendly with bees. I forget the old saying, but I get more action by just lighting them on fire, pissing them off. You know what I'm saying? So, but the other thing is, guys, I'm talking a lot of intensity about housing authorities, but I want you also to understand that this is a segment of housing authorities. It's not every housing authority in the nation, okay? There are lots of states that have impeccable housing authorities that operate perfectly. There are a lot of housing authority people that do work there that care immensely. So I do not want this to be a blank check of me describing every housing authority in America. That's not true. I have lots of housing authority employees that give me lots of information from a lot of different counties and a lot of different states because they see that what's going on in the building is despicable. Okay, so don't go out there and start lighting up buildings and rioting because of what I'm saying about housing authority. It's not every housing authority. Tim Hankins, what are 9 qualifications? Explain. Timba, I would love to. And so in order to do qualifications, and it's not just 9, okay? So that's, it's about 58 pages we'd have to go through. And actually that would be about a 3-hour video. So, and I think I did make a video on some of that. But to answer your question, so, you asked a straight question. Let me give a straight answer. First of all, if you served our nation as a veteran, if you served in the military, the Coast Guard, or in the military, that is a preference for most housing authorities. Okay, so we'll go with the general ones. Then, but I just want to warn you, these are not special use ones either. Okay. Second to that, if you're 55 and older or 62 and older, you receive preference. They recently added in racial equity into this, which means if you're American Indian, and I don't mean just the orange Indians, you can be Black Indian. Okay, you can be Asian Indian. If you have Indian mixed in your blood, or you're Samoan, you're going to get a racial preference. If you're African American, and I don't mean you guys that just came from South Africa. I mean people that live in America that are Black Americans. you do get some preference, but it's not a lot, okay? They just added that, and I know why, because it's the system's already rigged, and you can imagine how much more it is with certain housing authorities. Anyways, besides that, if you receive Social Security disability, if you have a qualifying disability that will last greater than 12 months, that is a pre-qualifier. That's a whole video in itself. Let me check my list here. And now I want to remind you, these preferences are actually changed county to county. Before I even talk to you guys, I have to check these. Give me 1 second here. Income. Look, a lot of you guys, okay, I'm broke, I'm low income. Look, the only version of low income they care about is extreme low income. There's actually 3 versions of it. There's like poor, broke, and then extreme low income. That's a joke, but the extreme low income, the only way you're gonna get that is if you fall under the AMI for that. That's another video about itself. Second to that, award letters for people that are on Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, county services, mental health, stuff like that, okay? Those of you that have a provable case of homelessness greater than 2 years, and you'd also have to be chronic, which means that in the past 3 years you have been homeless. This is your 4th time being homeless. Those of you that have domestic violence cannot be friends, families, relatives. Must be somebody you're intimate with, whether you met them at a grocery store, gas station, whatever it may be. And in that case, there was a secondary preliminary ruling inside of that says that that you must have had an incident between you and that person you're intimately involved in within the past 60 days. But I know for a fact that that's a clever word game with them. They're actually looking for 28 days or less. So even if you manage to find the manual, identify specific things that would give you higher priorities, then there's secondary language by the housing authority you need to know about that does a process of elimination from federal rules. So the feds create a boilerplate in regulation. The housing authority manipulates those things to meet the specific population and demographics for their town, their city, or village, and then you come up with the real convoluted rules. That's why you need somebody like me, because not everything you read is exactly what it's framed to be. Looking on from that, if you live in a zip code, hey guys, if you can apply to every housing authority across the state. What you cannot do is apply for housing authorities over state lines unless you're under the intent of relinquishing the voucher for the state that you're in and that you're going to be porting to the next state. That's why people in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania got in trouble. You got people that are using generational vouchers and they're holding apartments in several different states. You see how that works out? That's called fraud. Then you have special use, and that in itself is another video. That means they've been granted special funds for a special reason, and if you know what those special reasons are, and all the time, that's very much different for each housing authority, then they can grant you a voucher for no reason at all. How else do you think how else do you think that housing authority employee at the Christmas party just handed out vouchers like their gift cards? How do you think it happened? It's called special use. You give it to friends and families and the neighbors, the birds and the bees. But anybody that's actually really homeless or needs one, fuck them. That's how special use is used. And who's over special use? Well, of course, it's the police guarding the police, the person in the back office. So not only does Sally answer the phone, Sally prints out your voucher, and she determines whether or not she likes you and wants to give it to you. And then, of course, they can convolute the paperwork that they send back to HUD itself. So it's pretty much just whatever they want to do. So that's what I tell you guys, you're thinking this is all, this goes in a national database and it's all regulatory. It's not, okay? There is some regulatory action with this stuff or accountability, as you might want to put it, but it's not what you think. Look, they just arrested a guy about a year ago in Houston. They just hired him, okay? The guy now here's a perfect prime example. Young man, he gets hired, okay? He went down to the work source, unemployed, got no education really, applied. He worked for the housing authority. A week later, he was selling housing choice vouchers in Houston, in my city. He was selling for $5,000 a lick. Now, how did he manage to do that? One, he had access to these vouchers. Number two, it required no reporting, no accountability. So I told you, let me tell you and repeat it again. If you think these people in the housing authority cannot print out a voucher for any fucking reason they want, you're out your mind. They can. If you think that there's some severe reporting to this, you're out your mind. They can blur the paperwork any way they want to. Okay? How else would that man be sitting in jail? You know how he got caught? Somebody reported his ass. So a man has a job for a week, sells vouchers for $5,000. Who the fuck is even watching what's going on? This was 2020. This is not 1960, okay? This was in use in the fourth largest city. Now come back and book a consult and go, oh no, and tell me, and please do tell me it's fair. Tell me it's fair that all those good people in there, that there's recounting, there's cameras, they're watching everything, that there's accurate reporting. No, there's not, okay? You're out your mind. That proves it right there. I got to tell you, go on and Google. Let's just see how many people going to jail this year for selling vouchers, okay? Took a job. And what do you think they hired this guy? They got his degree out the bubblegum machine. Huh? What do you think? Well, they gave him an office filled with vouchers. In a city that had, and also, here's the lovely part about this vouchers. This comes from a housing authority that the program had been closed for 8 years. They told everybody they got no vouchers. So how did a man that only been working there a week be given an office with a box of vouchers to sell on it with a housing authority that would claim up and down they don't have a single voucher to give? How did that even happen? But that's okay, guys, because a lot of you, like I said, you think there's good Christian folks in there, and they're all going to pray together, and they're going to give you a voucher, okay? That's what makes me so angry, because a lot of you guys think this is an honest system, and it's not, okay? And by the way, my reference to Christians and things of that nature is not being put in the context of me trying to be rude or anything like that, okay? I just remember growing up in the South, my mom used to say that a lot as an example that sometimes people aren't what they appear to be, all right? So, this has been a long video. My voice is starting to give. I hope that some of you have understood what I'm trying to say to you. I hope that some of you are taking this responsibility serious. But more than anything, I hope that you guys are going to get out here and get housing. At the end of the month, it's game and match, all right? If you don't have it by then, you're not getting into housing, you're not figuring it out, then you could potentially be sitting on the streets. All of your stuff has been put out in the lawn by now. It's already people that stole it. Nobody's got money these days. It's a pandemic. Everybody's broke, except for the people that always have money. You can't. And another thing, a lot of you guys want to depend on friends and family. Well, you know what? They'll disappear when it comes down to money. Look, I'm unbiased. I'm not your friend. I'm not your mom. And I'm not your aunt. Okay. You pay me for a service. I produce it. Either I produce what I say I can produce or I don't. Okay. Number 2, we never have to worry about hard feelings over borrowed money. All right. Number 3, I actually enjoy what I do. You just watched me carry on for an hour and a half talking about wanting and dreaming, fantasizing of taking out housing authorities and bad employees. I immensely enjoy it. You don't really have to pay me to do that part. Okay. I actually enjoy it. I enjoy taking down bigots, racists, nuts, discriminatory people, or even people that hate their job and want to be miserable. I actually enjoy that part. You'll never have to pay me for that end of the deal. I will gladly take my personal time and do it. Oh, Kenny in Texas, hello. So I see I got some Texans down here. That's a good deal. So, look, guys, I would love to be able to help all of you for free, but unfortunately, it is my life. It is my personal time. I do give you the privilege and the honor of calling you from my personal cell phone. I work with a lot of you guys. A lot of times you pay me for 20 minutes. I talk a whole hour. I talk to a lot of seniors that are old and they're elderly and they're lonely. And I allow them to go over that 20 minutes. Not only it's about money. However, I cannot do this 500 requests a day by email. I can't always do it for free. I have a family. I have cats. I have bills, I don't think the compensation that I'm requesting is unreasonable. I'm never intending on raising those prices again because I don't believe that everybody can afford it. Some people have no money. I deal with homeless that have nothing, and I deal with it on a case-by-case basis whether or not that I should offer a service for free, okay? I also know that homeless are very skilled people. I used to be one, as I mentioned 30 minutes ago in the video, a long time ago. I know that homeless people can round up $40, $50 in a half a day, okay? So I don't always fall for the hard luck story. Just because you're homeless, you don't have money, okay? Look, guys, I want to help, but the thing about it is there's no way for me to help the whole country. Nobody grows up and thinks, oh, boy, Mommy, I would like to be a Section 8 consultant. I would like to earn a living making money off of people who don't have any money. Who would pick a more convoluted job? That'd be like me saying, I'm going to open Amazon, but I'm only going to sell diamonds to broke people. You see my point? This was always destined to never be successful. So I do it because I want to do it, not because of the money. And so that is what it is, okay? Well, guys, we're going to wrap this up. And I apologize. I didn't get to a lot of comments, but I'll tell you what, we've had a good crowd today. Y'all take it for whatever value you find in it. I don't expect to get along with everybody. I don't expect everybody to agree. But when it comes to one thing, there is nobody that knows more about the subject matter than myself. And I've proved that over and over and over. Like I said, I wouldn't have nearly 100 county offices visiting my channel and my analytics if what I said was unimportant. If I was unimportant, people wouldn't be visiting this channel all the time, okay? One day I hope the White House comes to business, okay? But I'm probably too controversial to ever get a call for something like that. But it sure would be hell of an honor to be recognized for what I've done, what I've spent my life doing. So anyways, guys, I've enjoyed talking with all of y'all. Y'all should come back and see me, okay? I always keep it real. I don't sugarcoat shit. And the main thing is I actually do care. I care immensely what happens to you guys. And even if you're suffering from severe mental illness, I'm still willing to work with you. Even if you're still using drugs, you haven't let go. It's still got a hold of you. I'm still willing to work with you. I'm still willing to work with people that talk to me like pure trash in the phone. Some people are so deluded. Some people are too prideful. Some people become angry because I'm a minute late calling them. So they treat me horribly. It's all right. I understand. These are tough times. Lack of money, lack of housing, uncertain future. Sometimes people feel entitled that they're able to treat me like trash. I get that. It doesn't happen as much as it used to. In the beginning of the year was bad. Getting abused on the phone. But that's all right. One of the things that makes me really good at my job is I know how to sit there and let that shit roll off my shoulder. And I still realize, even though you're talking shit to me, that I'm still willing to help you because you eventually you're going to be sad that you did that. Okay? You're going to regret that you did that. Because when it comes down to one last thing before I go, if I can't help you, then you can rest assured that nobody in this damn country can. All right? It's really that simple. I don't know anybody better than me. I've looked, I've hunted, I've searched, I've Googled it. I have not yet found anybody that comes close to what I do. Not even near it. So to tell you, if I can't help you, then you truly are fucked. Okay? That's how I feel. Now, for those of you that serve the good Lord, he can help you. All right? There's always somebody bigger than me. But yeah, so I'm doing the best I can for you guys. I've enjoyed it. I want you all to go out this weekend, try to enjoy yourself. If you have housing struggles, they can be solved, but you must help. The thing about this is, guys, you've got to be willing to work with me. You got to put your work in. It's not just me. I'm not in servitude to you. We have to work together. We have to learn together. We have to read manuals. We have to work with the information that we have. Sometimes we have to manipulate. Sometimes we have to go almost to the line, but we're not going to cross it. We'll get near the law, but we're not going to break it. If you're willing to put in that kind of work and you're taking this responsibility seriously, then yeah, we can get what you need. But if you guys are going to wait till late summer, till Christmas rolls around, it might be just too late. I think I've made that point very clear. If you really need to see it for yourself, then keep fucking around and get put out on the street, and you're going to regret it. Once you reach the street, once you get put out the front door and your couch and all your properties in the front lawn, let me tell you what happens. Once you become homeless, it is 8 times harder to get off that street from there. Nobody wants to hire you. You've got no clothes, no way to take a shower. It gets immensely worse from there. It takes years to unravel that fucking disaster. It is my advice to you, before you land on grandma's freaking couch or before you land in a homeless shelter, that you let me try to fix your case. Because once you reach that level, you're not only subject to losing everything and having years and years of battle to just get back to normalcy, then you're going to be dealing with other people on the street that have severe drug and drinking problems, and some of you will fall prey to it. I've watched grown women and men that became homeless and got involved in drugs because they finally reached the point where they said, fuck it, I don't care about life, I don't care anymore. They become addicted to heroin and other drugs and things like that. So not only do they have an upward battle to get housing to reach normalcy, they're no longer a normal person. Be careful, people. You don't even realize just how dangerous it is to reach that point. Because it will challenge you ethically. It'll challenge you morally. You could become addicted. You can lose your life out there. Don't let that happen, especially if you got kids. And for you old, I'll work twice as hard for you. Because I tell you one thing, I have no deeper respect than for the people that have managed to survive that long on earth. I have much respect for people that are over 55. Same amount of respect to my elders and my grandparents. I have the same amount of respect for y'all. But respect is served the same way that it's given. If you don't know how to handle yourself and give the respect back, then don't believe that I'm going to be entitled to give it to you. So, and I believe that everybody deserves respect, no matter who you are, your political motivations, what color you are, and stuff like that. I treat all classes the same way because I came from class that I went to nothing. And one more thing I'm going to say before closing. I know I'm rattling on for sure now. Before last year, the pandemic hit, there's 20, 40 million people talking about being evicted this year. These were the same people. These were the same people that would somehow see one of my videos, wander into my channel. I would never act like trash. I would never need no voucher. Why would anybody need that? You're just sucking on the government tip. Why would you be doing food stamp? Oh, I'm too good for that. These are the same people that came in my channel and trolled me, trolled my channel, said disparaging things about low-income people, other ethnicities. Everybody's just trash if they're low income. These are the same people we're talking about today. Let me tell you something. There's not a 20 or 40 million evictions for low income people. There are 20 and 40 million evictions for middle class. But unfortunately, that title they've held all their life, being middle class, guess what they are now? They're no class. Welcome to the party. Welcome to the party. Because last year you were talking shit in my channel, but you'd never do and you'd never need help. Now you're sneaking around like a rat and a roach and a snake. Don't want nobody to know that now your ass is going to be the one up in Section 8. The former middle class, talking all that trash about the low income, how the mighty have fallen. So the point is, you never know what's going to happen in life. You should treat everybody with respect because one day while you're high on that mountain, your ass going to get kicked off that mountain and you're going to come back down to earth and you're going to come to this channel. Last year I had to basically put you out of here for the comments and now you're begging me for help. So I just want you to know I'm not talking about anybody specific. I'm just saying the irony of what's going on is so killer because the people that thought that they're too good for this system are now, by virtue and very nature, are the ones that are actually going to need it. So humility is a bitch, and you've been served. I've enjoyed talking with you guys. I'm probably going to have another video in a couple of days. I feel like we did a good job on this one. So if you ever need to contact me, you can click on a picture in the video. There's lots of my email addresses to book me for a call, whatever it may need to be. If you ask questions, be reasonable, guys. Please don't write me your whole life story. A lot of times I can work on a case without hearing 10,000 words, okay? Be reasonable, okay? Because I need to be able to help a lot of people, not just you. So with that being said, man, hey, that's it. We're going to close out. Have a good night, guys. Bye. Well, apparently I've forgotten how to close the video.